Hello friends, so today in this video we're going to discuss the first three problems from the latest Lead Code Weekly Contest 246. So we'll go over all the first three problems and maybe I will also make a video for the last problem also. So let's start. The first problem is largest odd number in a string. So you are actually given a string and you have to return the largest value odd integer in a string format only, such that it is a non-empty substring of nums. So you have to find out a continuous substring, okay, continuous stretch of characters in this string, which is a substring, such that the number should be odd number. Now it should be as long as possible. So now the basic idea can be move from right to left and find out the first odd number and take that as a whole like substring, because as you can see, and if there is no substring, return out a empty string. So in this, because there is no odd integer, then as you can see, if there is no odd integer, whatever like number you will choose as a substring will always be even. Okay, so in this, as you can see, the last character is 7, so it's benefit to take the whole number. If you find out in this, the second character is 5, so all the numbers forward to it, all the integers forward to it, like including 5, will form a odd number. Why? Because see, you can easily understand that like if all the numbers are odd, if you want to be a number to be an odd, the last number should be odd also. So that's what we're going to do. The code is very simple. Iterate from like last to front, and whenever you find out an odd integer, okay, so how you can find out? So because everything is in character, so first convert it to an integer format and then check that whether it is an odd number or not. If it is an odd number, take the substring from 0 till that ith point at which you find out the odd character. Okay, and then just return out that substring. Else, if you do not find out any of the substring or any of the character which is odd, then just return out an empty string. Okay, so that's the first problem. The second problem is the number of full rounds you have played. So the problem is telling you that there is new rounds which are played for every 15 minutes, and they start at an interval of like they start at 0, like at the first hour, like the first hour 0 minutes, then after 15 minutes, then 30 minutes, then 45 minutes. So let's assume that the day starts at 12 a.m. okay, so like or 0, like not 0, like 0 hours 0 minutes. Okay, so the time will be in this format, so from 00 till 23:59, and then it goes down to again 00. So from that, in the next 15 minutes there will be one game, then after that the next 15 minutes, from 15 to 30, then again one game, so from 30 to 45 again game. So there are games played in this format. So you are given a start time and a finish time. So maybe you want to play some games, so you want to enter some room. So as you have seen, like in online games, there are some games played, so you enter some room to play a game, but maybe there is some time after which a new game will start. Okay, so you are given the start time at which you will enter the game and the end time, the finish time, you will exit. So you have to tell that how many total full games of 15 minutes you will play from the start to the finish time. That's the whole problem. Now the first thing which comes to my mind is, okay, can there be an like the time can start such that I'll start from 5:30, okay, and it goes to like 8:30, which is fine. But the time can also go such that I can start at 11 at the night and it can go to 6 in the morning. So it can also like go in a circle. I hope you get the point. So you have to first, in such a problem, first convert everything to minutes. Okay, so what you can do here is first convert everything to minutes. So if you convert everything to minutes, then what will happen? The everything will goes from 0 minutes to the total number of minutes in a whole day, which is 1440. You can convert like 24 hours into every hour 60 minutes. So total number of minutes is 1440. So the total, so as you can easily understand in this problem is, you have to check that the first round will start from 0 minute to 15 minutes, then 15 minute to 30 minutes. So because the total number of games played in a whole day is very small, so you can brute force, in a brute force way you can check that out. How you can check that out? You can find out the so what you can see here is, you know what is the limit at which you will play. So you know the start time and the end time, and you can convert it to minutes. Okay, the same for both of them. And what you can do here is, you can check that the first game will be played from 0 minute to 15 minutes, the other game will be played from 15 minutes to 13 minutes. So you just check that what interval, like this is some interval 15 to 30, 30 to 45 and so on. Whether this interval is lying in the between my start and end time. If it is lying between my start and end time or not. If it is lying, then it's fine. Else it is not, then we have to do some other thing. Okay. Also, this we will only do when my end time is larger than the start time. Maybe it is starting at 5 p.m. and ending at 8 p.m. But if it's starting on 5 p.m. and ending at 2 a.m. in the morning, we'll check one interval from 5 till 12 in the night. Okay, and the other interval will be from 0 in the morning to 2 a.m. I hope you get the point. So that's how we will check the whole thing out. So what we'll do, so I will show the code part now. This is the code. Total number of rounds will played. First convert my start time, which is in string, and end time into the form of a minute time. So this is the convert minute, in which, because this is the hour and this is the minute, so you will take the first character and multiply it with 10 and the second with nothing, and then my whole multiply with 60, because total number of hours into 60 and the total number of minutes, you will add them out and just return out the total time. So that's the total time and convert it into minute and an integer also. Now there are two cases. The first case will be, this is S2, which is the ending time, and S1 is the starting time. If S2 is greater than S1, which means that your only stretch is in one go, because it means that the starting is, let's say 5 a.m. like 5 p.m. and ending at 8 p.m. So you do not overlap in the day. So what will happen is, because if it is there, then this is one interval, and you have to just check that how many times how many games are played in this particular interval. So what we'll do, we'll iterate over all the possible times. So the time initially is 0, and it will go till total number of match, how many matches will played. The total number of match, every match will start from 0, 0, then 15, then 30 and so on. And total number of matches is, like, you have to go, your time will grow from 24 hours into 60 minutes. So total number of times is, like, it is also 1440. You can multiply that, but for simplicity I just write down, because there are 24 hours and 60 minutes. So the time will only go from in one go from 0 till total number of matches. So if my time is, one match starts from T and the ending time is T plus 15, because 15-minute match. Okay, so if my time is in the range of this interval, how you can check that? If maybe my time is this, so if this is T and this is T plus 15. So if T is greater than starting time and T plus 15 is less than equal to ending time, if T is greater than equal to starting time and T plus 15 is less than equal to ending time, okay, then we'll increment my total, and then my T will increment, my time will increment, which means like the next game and so on. And you can just return out the total. Else, if the day overlap, which means that my S1 is smaller than S2, which means that I have gone to the next day, I have to take two cases. I'll do the same while loop, as you can see, the same while loop, but now my time will go from my one interval will be from the starting time till 12 p.m. Like 12 p.m. means that 24 into 60. That's the ending point, like total number of minutes. Okay. We're gonna check that. And then the next interval will be from 0 till the ending time, the S2. So S1 till the last day of the last minute of the day, and the next thing is be from 0 till the S2. And we'll do this twice, like this for loop and this for loop, and we'll just increment by total how many games will be played in this match. I hope you get the point. So this is the whole code. You can see the code here. Okay. The fourth problem is, you are given two grids. The problem is count sub islands. Okay, so as you can see, I'll tell you in simple terms, this is one grid which has some islands. Okay, so as you can see, this is one island. Island means that a continuous joined blocks which are all ones. So this is one island, as you can see, like this is continuously joined and all are ones. This is one block, like this is one island, this is one island. Okay, now this is one grid. Now another grid can also have some certain island. As you can see, this is island, this is island, but you have to see that what are those island in the second grid which are completely inside the first grid islands. So if you take out, like, this is one island and this is one island, whether this island is completely inside one of the island in grid 1. Yes, this is completely inside. Okay, this is one island, because as you can see, this is one island in this grid. Whether this is completely inside, no. whether this grid is completely inside some island. This is matching, as you can see, this is matching, but this is not completely inside. This island is completely inside this island. This island is completely inside this island. So 3 islands are there in this grid 2, which are completely inside some of the island in grid 1. So you have to find that. Now, what you can simply do is, the first thing is you have to find out the islands in grid 1. Okay, so what you can do, instead of just marking out the islands are already marked, you'll mark the islands with different numbers. So you can mark this island all 2s. So this is one island of all 2s. So because it is initialized with 1, mark them with some another number. So this is one island of all 2s, islands of all 3s, and islands of all 4s. Okay, so I will tell you how this code runs. So you can mark out all the islands, which is a continuous stretch with a number except 1, and in a continuous fashion, so that you can easily mark them out. So this island after the first iteration will be marked all 2s, this is all 3s, and this is all 4s. Okay, now what you'll do, now you'll iterate over all the islands in the grid, in grid 2. Okay, and while you are matching, while you are marking out the islands, you will check that, okay, so you know that this is the island and you want this island to be completely inside some of the island. So what you'll do, when you'll find out one island in grid 2, while iterating over that island, while like finding out that island or iterating over the island, you know that, okay, I find out one island which start at this point, and there is also one island which start at this point. So what is this number? I know that this island will all consist of 2s. So I will match that whether this island should also consist of all 2s. So whenever I iterate over this island, what I'll do here is, iterating over this island, I will check that whether all the blocks should be equal to 2 in the corresponding grid 1. So I will check that, okay, whether this block in grid 1 equal to 2, yes, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, yes. So this island completely inside this island. I hope you get the point. So if I take this island, for example, I find out that there is one island which starts from here. I will check that whether this island, when compared to this island, all the blocks which are matched out to that plot, if this is, let's assume this island is marked 1, I will check that whether this is an island or not. If this is not an island, then obviously not fine. If I start at this point and I check that, okay, this is one island and this island is having a point at, let's assume, like 2, or this island is marked at 4. Okay, so I will start iterating over this island and check that whether all of them are 4, all these blocks are 4 in the corresponding grid 1. This is 4, like I will check over this, and this is 4, which is fine. This is not an even island, so I will not mark it out. I hope you get the point. I will show you more with the code part now. So this is the code part, count the sub islands. Okay, so you will make 2, I just made 2 grid, which are these 2 grids global. You don't have to make them global, you can also send them in the function also, but just send the addresses also. So you just send out like this only, instead of making 2 global as you can see, 2 global matrices. What you can do here is, in this OK function only, just send this grid 1 and grid 2. Okay, so this is the dimension of grid 1 and grid 2. That's also I have made global. And then what you'll do, you'll iterate over every possible block, okay, on the grid 1. Okay, and how you can mark out different island in grid 1 with different numbers, how you'll iterate over every possible number on grid 1. Whenever you find out 1 means that it is an island or it is connected to some form of island. You will call this OK1 function with the starting index at which you find out a 1 and a count value. So that I want to mark all the numbers connected to this one, all the island which is connected to this particular one, to a particular number, which is count. So I will first mark it out as 2, and then I will increment my count. So now in the next island I will mark it as 3 and 4 and 5 and so on. So this is an OK function which will mark out the whole island starting at this ij with a count value of which is 2, 3, 4 and so on, which will keep on incrementing with a new island. Now how you can see that this is an OK1 function. So how we can do that? This will give you an I and j and a value which bit it will mark. So I have to first check that for this OK function, this I and j should be inbound. So this is a check function whether this I and j is inbound. If it is an inbound, and I will only iterate over the blocks which are equal to 1. Okay, if any number are already marked, if some number is already in some island which is like 2, 3, I don't have to iterate over that. Or if some number is 0, okay, which is a water, so I don't have to mark that. So I will only iterate over numbers which are equal to 1. if they are not equal to 1, we just return out, because we don't have to iterate over that. If it is equal to 1, what I'll do, because it is connected to the island, I will mark it as the value which is given to me, which is C, which is count value. And then because I've marked this particular block as C, I will move from this block to all the neighboring blocks. So I will call this OK function recursively for I plus 1, I minus 1, j plus 1 and j minus 1. And this will actually mark out all the island with the particular C value. Okay, I hope you get the point. So then what will happen here is I have to count out how many sub islands are there in grid 2. So I will mark out as answer equals 0. Then I will iterate over the grid 2, and whenever I find out a particular block which is not water, so in grid 2, if any block which is equal to 1, which means that it is forming some island, what I'll do, and also that in the same block that should be island also in grid 1 also. So I will only do this for loop if both the at the certain ij, both like grid 2 and grid 1 is showing some island. So I will call this OK2 function, and I will make my valid. I have to check that whether this is a valid answer or not. Okay, this is valid. And also what I'll do, if this particular matching is there, if this particular island is a sub island, then this valid will be true, and then only the answer will increase, and then the answer will be printed. So that's what I have told you. This OK function, what will do, you have to first check that the base condition is always there, whether it is inbound or not. If it is out of bound, you just return false, we just don't do anything. Also, if the grid 2, see, if the grid 2 on which we are iterating, it should not be water, it should all be 1, because it should be an island. If it is 0, then we just return out that. Okay, now what we'll do, I have to check that the particular ij I am iterating on over the G2 grid, which is the second grid, corresponding to that grid value, all the values in the G1 grid should be of the same number. So because as you can see, while calling this OK2 function, I am on ij, and I know that for the particular ij, both of them are island. Then if my G1 have an island value of, let's assume 2, then all the values which are in grid 2, which is forming an island, should be equal to 2. So I would also send the value of the G1, which is like equal to 2. Then I will check that at any point, if the grid value or the island I am iterating over in the grid 2, if that is not equal to C, if I match out that particular IGR on grid 1, and if that grid 1 value is not equal to C, or C means that the count value is not matching out, it can form water over there. So the particular ij is island here on the grid 2, but it is water or some another part in grid 1. Then in that case, my valid become false, and this is not a valid sub island, and we just return. Else, if it is a valid island, we have to mark it out, because we don't have to go in a recursive function like in a never-ending for loop. So it is giving us a particular answer. So to not go into a recursive for loop, what we'll do, we'll mark out this G2 in this G2, because we have seen that we'll mark out my ij equal to 0, because we can make this water and we can just iterate over the next point, and then we can recursively call OK2 function over all the 4 directions. Okay, that's the code. You can look in the code. I can put the code in description also. You can check the code out also. If you have any doubts, you can mention down. I will say next one, and keep coding, and bye.